My wife doesn't want to spend any time out there with me. So tight.
We're going to call this meeting to order, the February 4th City Council meeting for Muscatine. Fran, would you do the roll call, please?
Councilmember Greatwald.
Present.
Fitzgerald.
Present.
Nafig.
Present.
Saucedo.
Present.
Bynum.
Present.
Harvey.
Present.
Spread.
Present.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Is there anyone in the audience tonight who would like to speak on a topic that's not already included in the agenda? Thank you. Please step to the podium and say your name and address, please.
Dakota Upshaw, 715 East 7th Street. Mayor Broderson, if I could, I have some information or pamphlets that I'd like to pass around, if that's all right.
Start down here, please. Sorry.
Hello, I'm Dakota Upshaw. I'm a striking worker from High Brand Industrial, which is a subsidiary of Brand Construction out of Milan, Illinois. Through this speech, I'm going to tell you some of the reasons why I'm on strike. First off is the training. There's a severe lack of training in this company, whether it's with equipment operation, such as how to operate a backhoe, or how to use PPE, like a safety harness, or even how to use power tools, such as a concrete saw or hammer drill. I've personally been instructed to perform tasks I felt were unsafe or could be done in a safer manner. And when I tried to do it in a safer manner or asked to do it in a safer manner, I was harassed and called names. Out of the 12 employees at High Brand, I was the only worker with an OSHA 10-hour, which is just a pretty basic safety training class. Second is our equipment. The equipment we've always had on our job has always been in pretty poor running condition. I couldn't tell you how many pieces of equipment have blown up on me. I've also watched another worker get seriously injured by a piece of equipment. It was a skid steer with a malfunctioning kill switch. When the worker was getting out of the machine, the safety bar, which is supposed to walk out the machine, malfunctioned. And when he got out, his lanyard actually got caught on one of the controls, and it spun around violently. I remember watching in shock as it could have killed him. Luckily, we got to it and stopped it in time. Shortly after he was rushed to the hospital, I was ordered to clean blood off of that skid steer and park it at the end of our drive so it could be picked up and fixed. Seen it a year and a half later on another job site. Demonstrated to my coworkers it was still not fixed. It still operated in that same condition. Third is the conditions that we work in. We work under some extreme conditions throughout the year. I've been working in temperatures that was -5 with 20-mile-an-hour winds, and the opposite side of it when it was 105. On these days where it's hot, we really usually don't have water on the job. If we do, it's not enough water. We don't stop in the rain unless it's a downpour. And even in the case of lightning, we've been rushed back to work as soon as 10 minutes after, which I've tried to tell our management that's a violation of OSHA standards and laws. The fourth is our treatment. We as employees are treated horribly on the job. The company treats their employees like slaves. If the conditions weren't bad enough, our foreman gives us unreasonable deadlines, and there's often verbal abuse. Not only with the verbal abuse, I've actually witnessed physical abuse on the job between my superiors and my coworkers being on the receiving end. Mike Thurman, which is one of our foremen, believes that by making employees angry, that'll make them work harder. That's where the verbal assault and verbal abuse comes into play. This results in frustrated workers who can't think clearly. This gives me concern for safety. On top of all this, the workers for High Brand are paid so little that after working 40 hours a week, some of us still need government assistance to make ends meet. We have family and children to provide for. A worker should not have to work so many hours and not to be able to provide for his family, which is why I'm here tonight. I've been asked, why don't you just quit and get another job? Because things at Brant and Highbrand are not going to change. What they're doing is wrong, inhumane, and immoral, and I'm not just going to stand by and watch fellow coworkers and others be put into dangerous situations without anything being done. I'm not going to wait till OSHA comes to investigate a death that could have just been prevented by buying a decent harness and teaching somebody how to put it on. It is my duty to speak up on the behalf of Brant and Highbrand workers who are afraid to speak up because of losing their jobs and inform the public of their wrongdoings. We'll gladly notify the council and public of any changes or new findings in the future, and would ask please use contractors who treat their workers fairly, with dignity, and put safety of the public and workers first and foremost. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Upshaw. Does anyone else like to speak to anything that's not on the agenda? Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
I'm Nicole Pinnock from, I live at 12420 County Highway 5 in Atkinson. I'm also a striking worker from Brant Construction from Island, Illinois. I was hired on at Brant mid-July of 2014 through the HCCTP class as an apprentice. Brant's safety coordinator, Anna Copeland, approached me at the graduation, asked me if I wanted a job as a laborer, and I said sure, I would love to work. She then told me to call her on Monday and said, and waiting until Monday, I had called Thursday, or the very next day. She set up an appointment to talk to Terry Brant and his secretary, Lisa Coyne. After going through the interview process, I was hired on as an apprentice laborer and was sent to my first job on the Andalusia Bridge with Justin Brant. After the job was completed, I was sent to a few more small jobs and then went to Altona, where I worked from late August until the end of November, where I was laid off before Thanksgiving. While working in Altona, I was never instructed on how to do my job, just told to go do this or go do that. I had never worked in construction, but I have been around it. I was called back to work in April of 2015 and sent to Hennepin at the Marquis Energy Plant as a truck driver. I do not have my CDL, and I still do not. I did not have any training, and I've never drove a cement truck. For 8 months, I eventually told my foreman that I did not feel safe driving, and he told me that I could just go home, and he would call Todd Brant and tell him that I just walked off my job. With this being said, I eventually learned that if I was to hurt someone, I could lose my license or personally get sued. I knew some things were wrong, and I just couldn't figure it out. And when I did, I had to do something. So I'm here now letting you know that Brant Construction's company needs how they treat their workers.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to talk about that's not on the agenda? Please make sure to keep your comments to something that hasn't already been said, sir, and please state your name and address.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Vince DiDonato, and I live at 12628 Tower Line Road, Pekin, Illinois. I am affiliated with the Center for Workers' Justice. The Center for Workers' Justice, along with many other groups in the area, have been assisting the striking workers since around early July in their struggle for a better workplace. The striking workers have discussed only a small few of the many issues they have working at Brant Construction Company and their sibling companies. A few things that they didn't mention are how community and clergy groups and the striking workers have reached out to the companies and the owners of Brant Construction on at least 10 different occasions, asking for a meeting to sit down and resolve these issues in the workplace so that they can go back to work in a safe and prosperous environment. The only response they have received from Brant Construction is a termination letter standing up for their safety, unaffordable health care, and other concerns. There are currently 8 striking workers between Brant and their sibling companies who have been wrongfully terminated. Another 12 to 20 workers and maybe more have left the company for the same reasons in this past year alone. Some of them have been there for over 16 years. There are currently 10 unfair labor practices filed with the National Labor Relations Board against Brant Construction Company. They found out this Monday that there was merit in all the cases and the workers were wrongfully terminated. Nicole Pinnock went out on strike for unfair labor practices against her co-workers who had went out on strike before her. In her termination letter, Brant acknowledged that there were unfair labor practices against the company and terminated her anyway. There have been complaints filed in California against Brandt Construction, along with complaints filed in Nebraska against Highbrand Industrial, and complaints filed in Minnesota and Wisconsin against BS Crane Company for working in those states but failing to follow state rules by registering to work with the Secretary of State's. Highbrand Industrial and BS Crane Company are sibling companies and with the direction of and the same officers as Brandt Construction Company. Brandt Construction has misreported many accidents that have happened in the company to OSHA. Brandt Construction has even failed to report accidents to OSHA that had resulted in getting stitches inside and outside of one worker's lip and a visit to the emergency room. As you can see on the front of the packet handed out, safety is not the main priority at Brandt. 2 of the 3 gentlemen in the picture are 25 feet in the air walking a 4-inch wide bar joist without a safety harness. It is a father-son team, and they have went out on strike for many of the safety reasons as you've heard here tonight. When they received their termination letters, they noticed that they were labeled as laborers. The work they were performing is anything in the eyes of many but laborer work. Worker compensation companies consider that type of work iron work, which is a higher rate of insurance due to the dangerous type of work that it already is, especially without the proper PPE and harnesses and lack of training. The striking workers are here tonight to notify the public of many of the issues that they have in the workplace. We are also asking that you please consider not using Brandt Construction or any other sibling companies to do any of your work until they sit down with the striking workers and get this resolved and for a better workplace for all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and please keep your comments to things not previously said tonight.
My name is Kent Ferris. I live at 809 East 10th Street in Muscatine. In my official capacity, I serve as Director of Social Action and Catholic Charities for the Diocese of Davenport. I stand in solidarity with the striking workers, and I oppose any company in our community that would put their workers' lives at risk as a result of unsafe practices. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Would anyone else like to say anything tonight? Thank you. We're going to move on with the agenda to the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes items 6A through C, items 8A through D, items 12A through G, and tonight's expenditures totaling $2,890,030.21. Items 9A has been removed from the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Do I have a second?
Second, Your Honor.
Scott? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're going to move to number 7 on the consent agenda, public hearing. A, proposed vacation of utility easement in Muscatine Point subdivision. This public hearing concerns the proposed vacation of a utility easement in the Muscatine Point subdivision. A request has been submitted for an easement vacation plat that vacates a 15-foot wide utility easement running through Lot 1 of the subdivision. The easement is no longer used and hinders the development of Lot 1. Prior to the vacation of the utility easement, a public hearing is required. Now is the time for public to comment.
I just want to say, I'm here on behalf of the developer, ECC 313.
You need to.
Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
Good evening, my name's Amber Harden. I'm here with the Stanley Law Firm. We're over at 301 Iowa Avenue in the Central State Bank Building. I'm here on behalf of the developer, who is ECC 313. I don't have a whole lot to add other than what the City Council has already seen. It's been before planning and zoning. The only additional thing I would add is CenturyLink did have some wires that were going through that utility easement, and there's been an agreement between the parties that CenturyLink is going to move those, and we're going to pay them some money to do that. So otherwise, I think everything else is pretty much the same as it's been on, and I'll take any questions that anyone has.
So everything's been worked out.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do I have a motion to close discussion?
Move to close.
Tom, do I have a second?
Second.
Mike? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to 7B, proposed adoption of City of Muscatine's capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2016 through 2020. This public hearing concerns the proposed adoption of the City of Muscatine's capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2016 through 2020. At prior meetings, staff has reviewed drafts of the proposed capital improvement plan. At the January in-depth meeting, it was the consensus of City Council that the final draft of the CIP for fiscal years 2016 through 2020 be adopted. Prior to any formal action by City Council, a public hearing is required. Now is the time for the public to comment. Is there any discussion? Move to close. Scott?
Second.
Second, Bob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're going to move on to section 11 of the agenda. A is a resolution approving proposed vacation of utility easement in the Muscatine Point subdivision. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Move.
Mike?
Fine.
Second?
Second.
Second, Bob. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Santos?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to B, resolution adopting the City of Muscatine's capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2016 through 2020. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Is there any changes? Nothing's, it's all been the same?
That's correct. Other than the addition that Andrew spoke at the last meeting, which was the addition of the water pollution control plan items.
Any further discussion? How do you vote, Alan?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Santos?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to C, final reading of ordinance vacating right-of-way remnant in the City of Muscatine. Presented for City Council's consideration is the final reading of an ordinance vacating a right-of-way remnant in the City of Muscatine. A vacation plat for 1.53 acres of right-of-way, which includes portions of Spring Street, East 4th Street, and Poplar Street, has been filed by the HNI Corporation. HNI owns all of the adjoining property to the right-of-way being proposed for the vacation. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance on final reading as submitted and to authorize its publication as required by law?
So moved.
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Tom, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Santos? Scott?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to D of the agenda, resolution approving the vacation of the right-of-way remnant in the City of Muscatine.
Mayor,
Yes.
I've just been told that that should be the sale of the right-of-way instead of vacation.
For item C.
Vacation
Or
was
D.
Item D.
Item D.
Item D, vacation was handled in C.
Presented for City Council's consideration as a resolution approving the sale of a right-of-way remnant in the city of Muscatine. A vacation or a sale plat for 1.53 acres of right-of-way, which includes portions of Spring Street, East 4th Street, and Poplar Street, has been filed by the HNI Corporation. HNI owns all of the adjoining property to the right-of-way being proposed for sale. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a
Second.
second?
Second?
Tom? Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Alan, how would you vote?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Santos?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to E, presented for City Council's consideration as a resolution approving an executed deed between the City of Muscatine and HNI Corporation for the right-of-way remnant vacated by the city. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Phil?
Second.
Second? Thank you. Is there any discussion on this?
I've made the,
It was Phil
Alan.
and Alan.
what's the second?
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Mike, how would you vote?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Santos?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Thank you. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution accepting the low bid and awarding the contract for the Clark House Domestic Water Heater Replacement Project. 4 bids were received for this project, with the low bid from J.L. Brady in the amount of $49,478. Project costs will be paid through the Public Housing Capital Funding Fund Program. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you. Would there be any discussion? Hearing none. Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Santos?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, item G on the agenda, presented for City Council's consideration as a resolution accepting easements for the Musser Park to Wiggins Road Trail Project. Approval of the easement agreement, which covers the route of the trail between 33rd Street and 41st Street, will complete the process of acquiring all the necessary property and easements needed to construct this project. Approval of the easement will allow for construction to proceed this spring. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Thank you, Alan. Is there a second?
Second, Your Honor.
Phil? Is there any discussion?
I've got one quick question, Your Honor.
Thank
Just
you.
as- I guess for Jim, is this the modified route that you described earlier?
Repeat that question?
Is this the where there was a modified route? So this
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Any other questions? We'll wait until you get back over.
Yeah. Then we'll have another question. That's my only question.
Well done, Jim.
Got some exercise.
Oh, Jim, what street was that on?
Is there any other discussion tonight? Hearing none. Tom, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Santos?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Next, presented for City Council's consideration is a request from the Fire Department to approve the issuance of a purchase order for self-contained breathing apparatus. Is that pronounced SEBA, Jerry? SCBA, bottles and pack. 2 quotes were received for this purchase, with the low quote from Feld Fire in the amount of $51,850. There is $60,000 budgeted for this purchase. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So move.
Thank you, Bob. Is there a second?
Second, Your Honor.
Second, Scott. Is there any discussion?
Just one quick question is, are these all to replace ones that are expired, if you will? Yeah.
Hearing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Next is I on the agenda, request from the Police Department to use funds from the fiscal year 2015 Justice Assistance Grant to purchase crime scene camera equipment. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request from the Police Department to use funds from the fiscal year 2015 Justice Assistance Grant to purchase crime scene camera equipment. 3 quotes were received for the same Canon camera system, with the low quote from Camera Corner of Davenport in the amount of $6,365.12. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Thank you, Alan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Tom. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Next, J, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the installation of a sign overhanging the public right-of-way for 331 East 2nd Street. The Zoning Board of Adjustment and staff are recommending approval of the request. The proposed sign is in character with the surrounding area and meets all other requirements of the city code. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I was pleased to see that the sign, if it's like the picture that was presented in the notes, that it looks like a period sign, and I kind of thought that looked nice.
Thank you, Alan. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Moving to 14 on the agenda. Is there anything that council would like to share? Tom?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alan.
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you. Bob?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Santos?
No, Your Honor.
Scott?
I have nothing, thank you.
Phil?
No.
Nothing,
Mike?
thank you.
Thank you. Greg, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. We're going to move on to 15 on the agenda, other business. Discussion concerning the city's waste hauling business. And I'm going to turn that over to Mike Raywald, who asked for it to be on the agenda.
Like to hold that in abeyance for another day, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Scott,